Theo, I guess as a South African, we're living in a new world. We've had Jacob Zuma move on. Ramaphosa's in charge of the ANC now, and for many people, that change was a really great time of optimism. We really felt, a lot of us, that there would be significant improvement in the future of the country, and I guess some of that optimism is tapering off. One of the big surprises that came out of December was land expropriation, and I think that's been a real dent to a lot of investors' confidence, especially about, again, it's a new level of uncertainty that we were hoping would go away. And then we've had the issue of the mining charter, which we thought would be resolved very quickly and very easily. I guess Gwede Mantashe still told us that it will be done by the end of May, but he's gone very quiet. And then the reform of the state-owned enterprises. From the time of December, where we started with the land expropriation issue, have you seen a change in the way that the ANC and government in particular is approaching this?
Warren, I certainly think we have seen quite a bit of movement on the issue about land expropriation, and specifically without compensation. If you break it down and you take a few steps back and you say that this is about relooking at Article 25 of the Constitution and seeing to what extent the appropriation bill needs to fit into that and what should be in that bill. So it's a legal framework. Now, the first point is there should be a way that you can expropriate land without compensation. As an example, an abandoned building in the center of Joburg. The DA Mayor, Herman Mashaba, wants to expropriate some of those buildings, specifically to get them fixed and get them proper. So the principle there is, if it's for the good of the country, if it's for the good of the community, it needs to be there. What has happened in the debate is it's two things have happened. Number one, the debate has moved towards a more of a centrist view. That means the outliers, both on the left and on the right, have become almost irrelevant in this debate. And this debate has come to the point is, how do we give more people access to wealth, access to land, but not deter investment in things like agriculture or the economy or the means of production? So it's become a lot more of a rational debate, the one element. The other element is that, specifically if you talk to analysts, after 1994, a lot of South Africans, and we're talking about in their millions, if not tens of millions, ended up in almost a different world than me and you. They ended up in a world where they do not have any property rights, where they cannot build wealth, where they live at the behest of a king or a tribal leader. And that element is also coming into the debate. So what we are seeing now, we're seeing a rational debate by the rational people. In the last parliamentary session that ex-President Nelson Mandela gave a talk, he actually said, and perhaps he gave us an idea, he said that in all the parties there are good people, and in all the parties there are bad people. And we need to get the good people to look for solutions. And the land debate is moving in that direction. The various people with various opinions are starting to come together. There is, however, also a view that's being expressed, is that this debate will not settle by the deadline of the Constitutional Review Committee, which is the end of August. We have an election early next year, and there's a risk for the ruling party to try to close off this debate before the election. It is a risk that I'm not sure they're willing to take. So my view is we will make a lot of progress, we'll get a lot of things in place, but the uncertainty will still be there post that. If you really want to look, and you talked about three elements where there's policy uncertainty, where we need to address. If you really want to see to what extent government is serious about it, go and read on the Treasury's website the presentation that Finance Minister made to foreign investors, Finance Minister Nene made to foreign investors about a month or 6 weeks ago. It specifically stipulates the elements that they want to address. That is a rational, well-documented, almost academic quality document. And in their document, it states that policy certainty could add 0.4% permanent to our GDP growth per annum. So if you take 0.4% permanent to the GDP per annum, it's a big issue. And they believe, the government believes, that things like the SOEs, the mining charter, and the land issues is things that, if you can resolve it, will add policy certainty. And I think we must also take that into cognizance.
So to summarize, Thea, I think we're in a situation where some policies which potentially could be very scary for investors on the surface, actually, if we start to get into the nuts and bolts of them, are not going to be as scary as we thought. And if we listen to the language of Ramaphosa in particular, he's starting to tell us that actually there's a huge economic benefit to addressing the land issue. So I guess from an investor perspective, it's definitely one of those situations where you need to wait and see. You can't just make a decision now on the basis that land expropriation is definitely going to be bad. Most likely, it will work out reasonably well. And I think the same with the mining charter. We need to understand that the mining charter is going to be resolved in a rational, sensible way. Most of the participants in the mining charter will come out of this feeling slightly unhappy, which is probably right. If you watch a good game of sport and you refereed by a good ref, both sides are slightly unhappy with the ref. That tells you that the situation is resolved well. I think the big one for all of us, and the one we'll all be watching, will be the state-owned enterprises. How those balance sheets of those entities are resolved, and are they done in a reasonably quick and efficient way? Because if those issues continue to drag, if we see continued demand for funding, I think especially from places like SA and Eskom, I think those are going to be the ones that will drag us down. But for the rest, I think we're going to see the policy certainty that we need.